Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 181 of Rush Roundtables. We are still on the 1991 masterpiece, in my humble opinion, Roll the Bones, where we're going to be discussing two tracks this time, numbers 4 and 5, Face Up and Where Is My Thing. We have a wonderful panel here to talk about these two cool songs. We got Paul Simon, a dude that I've worked with a lot on this channel. Omar, you may recognize him from the All About Rush YouTube channel. Definitely go check that out if you haven't. And then Evan Stevens. I have yet to be on a roundtable with you, but you seem like an awesome guy already, so I'm very much looking forward to it. Let's just get right into Face Up. So, this song has quite possibly my favorite opening in the entire album. As a drummer, I really appreciate those fills that Neil does. It just really sets the tone and makes this a very fast, rapid, fun song to listen to. It's probably, in terms of BPM, I think it's the fastest paced song on Roll the Bones. Sounds like about 150 BPM. So it's really driving. It's got rhythm. It's got groove. Yeah, those fills Neil does at the beginning are just epic. All the way up on the 6-inch tom. You got those triplets. You got some little synths in there. And then we get right into the first verse. So I'll just read the lyrics quickly and then we can talk overall about everything. So first verse is, you turn my head, I spin my wheels. Running on empty, you know how that feels. I'm on a roll now, or is it a slide? Can't be too careful with that dangerous pride. If I could only reach that dial inside times 3 and turn it up. So, does anyone have something to say about just the overall opening of this song? Opening vibes, lyrical references, musical things?
Yeah, this was where it all started. It'd been documented in interviews and things that when Neil was writing lyrics for this, there were a couple months where he was jotting down notes. We'd mentioned in Dreamline on the Roundtable that was the first song he had the skeleton for, the bones of, but he couldn't, there was something he wasn't getting. And what he had said at one point was the idea basically hit him right as he was almost falling asleep, just kind of not thinking about it. And the idea of turn it up, turn it down, face up, face down like a card. And then the whole idea of chance and then possibilities and things came into play. So this was arguably the first song that actually came together. Dreamline was the first song that he was able to finish, but the whole idea of the whole album came from this. So the whole idea of endless possibilities comes from that turn the card up, turn it down, face up, face down. So as we said in Bravado, if that was the heart of the album, and it takes heart and determination to take chances and make things happen. I look at this song as this takes daring to make this happen. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. You have to go out in order to affect change. So that's how I see it, at least from the start.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, Paul. I never paid that much attention to the lyrics except knowing that it had to do with, Vegas, randomness, and, the theme of the album, right? But when I started, scrutinizing the lyrics a little bit, it kind of reminded me of the journey of an entrepreneur. Like they have an idea and, is it a good idea? Is it not? Am I going to jump in? Am I going to go all in no matter what happens? Pride be damned, that kind of thing. But it says if I can only reach that dial inside, should I do it? And then I think the song as it goes on, it could be adapted to like the journey of an entrepreneur. Okay, I'm jumping in. And then, we'll talk more about when those other lyrics, we discuss it. But I think it does, it could be tailored to what an entrepreneur goes. And, and the guys, they were entrepreneurs, still are entrepreneurs. So I think the song kind of encapsulates, as we'll see. Oops. I lost power.
Turn it up.
Yeah, there's a thunderstorm outside right now. That was my my backup kicking in, I think. Oh wow. Anyway,
literally,
yeah, we're whoa, facing up there. Anyway, so that was what I initially got from the song.
Interesting. I like that a lot. Especially like the idea that it's like an entrepreneur, because obviously this is a common theme with Rush songs. It's a lot of times the lyrics are in a first person point of view, but we don't actually know who's talking. Like, there are very few Rush songs where it's actually like a concrete storyline from beginning to end where we actually know who the characters are, who the protagonist is, and what exactly they are. You can interpret this pretty much however you'd like. The fact that it's first person kind of makes it feel very personal. I could sort of have this relate to the risks that I have or have yet to take in my life, and sort of motivates me to, sometimes, reach that dial inside and turn it up, because like Paul said, kind of, playing it safe, it's fine sometimes, but it's not going to get you any change. It's not really going to get you any progress most of the time. All right. Excellent. I think we're going to move on to.
By the way, real quick, that's the dilemma that, like, pretty much on all of these roundtables with these songs, who is Neil talking about? Is it himself? Is it a group of people? Is it, take it how you want to take it.
He doesn't write them first person. He writes them to sound first person. Like, he creates, takes the vacuum, puts a person in there, and then the song is from that person's point of view, but not his. It'll come up on Big Wheel in a couple of weeks when we host it too. That actually addresses that actual question, which I like.
But I think he made it general on purpose, because this could, like I said, it can kind of apply to anyone just based on how you interpret this. I don't think any song on Roll the Bones, except for maybe Heresy, where there are more specific events mentioned. So I like that. I kind of feel like it applies to Hold Your Fire as well. Very, very masterful lyric writing on this whole album, I'd say. So yeah, the chorus now, it stays very up-tempo. You got some background voices singing Face Up every line. Kind of goes with Neil's recurring theme of, okay, if we want to include the song title, let's just say it a bunch of times. And I Face Up, where you can only back down. Hit the target, or you better hit the ground. There's still time to turn this game around. Turn it up, or turn that wild card down. Turn it up.
Yep, go all in, or go all in, or just don't. Yeah, that's how I see it.
Pretty easy message to infer here.
And actually, jumping back to the first verse for a second, can't be too careful with that dangerous pride. Going back to Pride Before the Fall, or again, the song is very extreme. So he's explaining extremes. Pride Before the Fall comes from Proverbs 16:18. If I can only reach that dial inside and turn it up, pushing boundaries. So it's that no middle ground. You go out and do. And remember what we said on, I think it was Bravado, that quote out of the tour book was, you just keep doing it. The only failure is when you stop trying to do it. I think it's this, again, if Bravado was the heart behind it, Face Up is the daring. You don't stop. You keep going. So face up, or you can back down. Hit the target, or you better hit the ground. In other words, go for it or get out of the way. There's still time to turn the game around. In other words, throwing your hands up saying, oh, that's just it. No, it's not. You haven't succeeded yet, or you haven't gotten to where you're going. Keep at it. So, and since it is arguably, like you said, the most up-tempo song on the album, again, I don't think that's an accident. I think it was written that way, where this song is all drive. It's all assertion.
Yes. Sometimes I wonder if Dreamline, this song, and Bravado are all about the same character in different stages of life. You could also see that in the tempo and the mood of the songs. This and Dreamline are very fast, positive, up tempo. You could think Dreamline is when the person is young and they have the ambition, they have the desire to see big dreams. This song is when you're actually putting that motivation into action and trying to see some change, taking risks. And then Bravado could be the result of it all. Maybe you fail, but you're gonna get up, keep going, and you're not going to lose, lose that drive. I mean, there's no proof of that, but I do see that theme, and like you say, endless possibilities. Like they come around in all three of those songs for sure. Okay, if we don't have anything else to say about the chorus, we might as well go right to verse 2. Any final thoughts before we move on? All right.
Yeah, I got something. Oh. Sorry. I'm contending with thunder. It's thundering a lot over here. This also could be a song of just someone gambling and thinking that this is the one. Okay. He's losing all his money. He's like, I'm going for it. You know, and with that dangerous pride, if I can only reach that downside, it's just this one more. I think it's gonna be the one. This is the lottery ticket. So it could be that too. It could be as direct as someone just, just going all in, without caring what the results are, just hoping that something good will happen. But in that case, that's completely random. They really have no control over the results. Whereas an entrepreneur may have some control over their results, depending on their effort, right? If he doesn't give up. But, in a situation where the cards are completely, it's a completely random thing, you have no control over that. You're just going forward, right?
And that feeds into that extreme idea again. Fortune favors the bold. You are not going to get a reaction without something. So that personalized you described, gambling's like, if I don't try for this, I'm not going to get it. Entrepreneur being careful and making calculated risks. Again, this is daring. This is go no matter what. This is succeed or nothing. Very extreme.
Yep.
Was it Fortune favors the bold? Fortuna Aduviat from God, it goes back to, I know it's Roman. I want to say it was Pliny the Younger, or I can't remember the other author from like 170, 160 BC, but Terence, I think. So, yeah, the thoughts as old as that and farther back. The philosophy is there, and we know obviously Neil read it. So,
very nice. And also those things you said kind of come back in those themes sort of like of course this desire to take a risk, and even though you don't know what the outcome is going to be, you're still kind of just, you're in that groove. Well, that's exactly what they say in the second verse, which reads, "Don't complain, don't explain, don't think my new resolve can stand the strain. I'm in a groove now, or is it a rut? I need some feedback, but all the lines are cut. I get so angry, but I keep my mouth shut. I get so angry, but I keep my mouth shut. I get so angry, but I keep my mouth shut and turn it up." Yeah,
that was on key there. That was pretty good.
Thank you. I dabble in a little bit of singing. Paul knows that from his
one of the reasons we keep him around. Absolutely.
Thank you. Yeah, I think my favorite line here has to be the "I'm in a groove now," or is the rut. I need some feedback, but all the lines are cut, because sometimes I feel like when you're in the middle of a pursuit and you might be feeling good about it yourself, but like you sort of sometimes start to maybe doubt yourself if you're not getting the validation from others around you. Like, is this even, am I doing the right thing? But sometimes you're not going to have those opinions from others. And I think it's kind of a reflection of self-judgment. Like, listen to yourself, listen to your heart. If you have a vision and you think that this will get you there, then listen to yourself, like trust yourself, trust the process, and you should see good things happen. That's kind of how I see this. Anyone have anything to add?
I don't want to jump too far, but for the final verse, I'm going to go more into this, but I think that you're onto something there with the whole idea of individualism versus not so much society, but just as a people. Remember, Neil's earliest lyrics are all about the individual, and it's, I do this, you have to do for yourself. And we can all agree the later lyrics are more about, where do we fit in the grand scheme? How do we work together? This to me is right in the center. It's right in that middle. It's the middle of the eras, and this album and this song, as far as I'm concerned, are sort of that. He's right at the precipice, right before he goes into, you look at the later albums where it is more about the us, and how we interact with each other. This started, with Presto, and with Roll the Bones, I think he's fully immersed in it now, where there is that struggle for identity of, not to get all existential, what a shock, but the struggle between individualism and how do we do this? Either how do we get along? How do we work together? Counterparts. So see where this is going. I think this album and the song are specifically about that. So third verse is going to have a couple lines along the same lines, but so in other words, the feedback of other people, it's like, no, you're distracting me, or maybe I do need it. Even the first line, you turn my head, I spin my wheels. You do something and I'm going to react to it. So.
Yes.
I think too that you know the entrepreneurial journey, as I mentioned, a lot of times you don't have the approval, or a lot of people will think that's crazy, that's not going to work. Like if they know, like if they've been in it, people who care for you will give their advice and all that, but usually they've not been in your situation, or they've not tried what you're trying, even though they try to be helpful. But like he says, I get so angry, but I keep my mouth shut. I'm just gonna keep my nose to the grindstone, as they say. I'm going to turn it up. I'm going to put all the effort I can, and, let the cards fall where they may, as they say.
Mm-hmm. Ah, yeah, it's kind of interesting. Um, like it's sort of like an anti-peer pressure kind of scenario, maybe like because like kind of like what I was saying, like you maybe like either you don't have access to the validation of others, or you have it, but you don't even want it. You want to dismiss it because sometimes the wisest person in your bubble is actually yourself. So that's very interesting.
At
Like
least in that subject matter of what you're doing, you're the expert at that
yeah,
moment anyway. Um, but we're a lot of times we're unsure if what we're doing is right. We're always questioning ourselves. All of these unsuccessful entrepreneurs, I mean, they always mention how much they failed before they succeeded. Um, yeah, and because whether it was they were not sure of themselves or just things went wrong, but they kept going. They had to ignore a lot of people to do that too.
right. Yes, and a lot of what you said carries forward into the third verse. I'm going to skip the second chorus because it's basically unchanged from the first. So it goes, you get all squeezed up inside like the days were carved in stone. You get all wired up inside, and it's bad to be alone. You can go out, you can take a ride, and when you get out on your own, you get all smoothed out inside. Sorry, I had to. And it's good to be alone. And then a guitar solo, we can start with the lyrics. So Paul, don't mean to put you on the spot here, but you said you had a lot to talk about with this third verse, so I will let you have the floor if you want it.
Won't overtake it, but there is that in musically with that you get all squeezed up inside like there's a carved in stone. It slows down. This is
Yeah,
as slow as the song is. So this is the calm before the storm. This is that coiled spring, that slow burn where okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to get going. And you get all wired up inside and it's bad to be alone. And then it turns, I'll say frantic, but the solo obviously is very aggressive, but says you can go out and you can take a ride. In other words, you go do it now. And when you get on your own, you get all smoothed out inside. In other words, problems disappear. Once you've done it, you've left all that doubt behind, or you've left all the baggage behind, and it's good to be alone. You're in the forefront now. You've done what you said you're going to do. You dared, you did it. There's success in that. So again, going back to the whole idea of individualism versus the us mentality. It's almost like I don't say a last ditch effort, but it's more like I have to do this, like a Rubicon, the point of no return. I've got to try this. And when it comes to taking risks, I mean, you can go as far back as Caress of Steel to 2112, where they had all this pressure. You're going to do it our way, or you're going to lose your contract. So they decided to do it their way, and talk about a big payoff. Talk about rolling the bones, going from Caress of Steel to 2112. That's what broke them. That's what, I mean, you know what I mean? That's what truly started to define them.
yes.
So I think he goes from that slow burn, that build up, and then back up to that frenetic pace, and there's the payoff. So,
Right. Yeah, I forget if you also mentioned this, but I sort of think of this section musically and lyrically as like the calm before the storm. And like, the guitar solo acting as that storm. And now like it's like you've got all the motivation in the world ready to take that risk. And yeah, you seem to nail it on the head lyrically. I'd like to take a second and talk about it musically for a second. So this period, as we all know, is still the band is still in that transition period between that extra saturated synth sound, which I love, but a lot of people don't. And of course, the more guitar driven return to hard rock of counterparts forward. Roll the Bones and Presto are still kind of in that middle ground. And in this section right here, the calm, as I like to call it, you got some beautiful little synth notes, and you don't really hear that anymore, like in subsequent albums. And I love it just because of how like how dynamic it overall makes the sound. Like because I like I finally like was able to put my music taste in words and figure out that like I like rock music played by not many musicians, but still have a very big, full, rich sound. I know you could say that this album it may be on the thinner side mix wise, but instruments wise, I think it's very full, very big, and live especially like it just slaughters it. Too bad that this song was never played live, and we can talk about that a little bit more. And, you know, the reverb of the Ludwig drums, just everything, it just kind of hits it for me, and I really like that. And then when the guitar solo comes in, you're just like I think you're just sort of hit with a shock, like, oh, there's just this like absolutely gorgeous little like B section, the songs you can call it, if you go like A, B, B, A, or even C, like the bridge. And then this guitar solo, I like to think of it as pretty similar to the Red Tide solo. It's very short, fast, and I'm gonna admit I don't love it because if you know anything about me, you know that I like the slower solos where Alex literally like really carefully thinks about each note and um like just sort of have it resonate with the listener. But I still can't say that he didn't get the mood right with this song because it's exciting, and maybe he himself, you know, to reached that dial inside, and also sort of took this risk with this very fast solo, and it just worked. I'm not sure if I know Bravado solo was one take. I'm not really sure about this one, but if I had to guess, it's probably improvised. I don't think he like sat down and thought about each note. But I don't mind it. It's a little fast, but like it's still in the moment, I think thoughtfully composed. So that's
Like anything Rush, it's put together the way for it is for a reason. So agreed. It's not, this wouldn't be a slow solo would not fit this. Well, you know, arguably the fastest on the album, like we said, highest tempo, all that. It needs that adrenaline, that frenetic action, hyperkinesis, however you want to explain it.
Yeah, I totally agree. Even if it's not nowhere near my top 20, 30, 40, probably even 50, Alex Lifeson solos, it has its place here. He knew when to let loose for a very short period of time. So I applaud him for doing that. All right, so after the solo, we just have the chorus again, and then the ending, where it's just repeating, if I can only reach that dial inside, turn the wild card. If I can only reach that dial inside, turn the wild card down, turn it up, or turn the wild card down. If I can only reach that dial inside, turn it up, or turn your wild card down. Boom. And then you hear the woo. So all of that momentum, all that speed, ending with that just like
Who needs the record?
little keyboard glissando. So
Very Energizer Bunny ending for my generation.
Yeah, I wanted to mention something about the last two paragraphs in the lyrics, right?
Yeah.
You get the both sides of the coin, as they say, speaking of coins and Las Vegas and whatnot. So he says, you get all wired up inside and it's bad to be alone. Then in the next paragraph, he said, you get all smoothed out inside and it's good to be alone. Turn it up. So whichever way you're going, good or bad, go. Just turn it up and, go for it. So, hopefully you'll get the result you want to get. There's going to be ups and there's going to be downs, but, turn it up, put the energy in, and, don't restrain yourself. I think Neil was always someone to, we know his life. He was always go, 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 always busy, never bored. That was his life. So, and, we know he had, and they all had ups and downs. We do too. But we got to turn it up and keep going.
Yeah, I like that take. You get like the glass half empty and glass half full perspective in that bridge. And then Getty sings, and it's good to be alone with just so much power and so much emotion. Like he truly means it. Like I love that. In terms of the ending, to me, it actually musically is pretty similar to I think the Turn the Page ending. It's hectic, It's fast. You have a repeating like kind of backing vocal line where Getty sort of recorded two lines at the same time and they sort of overlap a little bit. It's kind of same here with Turn the Page. It's the every day we're standing in a wind tunnel. It's just a stage. We just engage on the page. So it's just like never ending singing. There's no breaks anymore. It's just lyric, 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 lyric. And then the storm's over. Very similar with Turn the Page, which also ends with a little bit of synth. So I like that. And Turn the Page is one of my favorite Rush songs. So I wonder if they thought of that when writing this. I don't think so, because I think all they want to do is forget about Hold Your Fire when they were writing this. But I like those kind of endings that just end that it's like they have all that energy like just contained in them, and they're just like they're spilling it out until they're just like so tired and have none of it left, and they just end it. And then
it's almost like a false ending.
Yeah, that cathartic crescendo, sure.
Yes. That's a good term to put it for sure.
I think it works.
Me too.
I don't think it's a jarring stop, but it doesn't feel like a jarring stop. It like stops where it's supposed to, basically, I think.
Catharsis.
Yeah. Kind of feel it's gonna end. Although it is a fairly short Rush song. I think it's barely over 3 minutes.
Yeah, it's under 4.
The length real quick. Oh, 3:54, yeah. Still feels rather short for a Rush song. Yeah. All right. Any final thoughts about Face Up before we transition to Where's My Thing?
Yeah, one thing I just wanted to mention is, and Tal already mentioned it a few minutes ago, is Face Up was never performed live. And normally for roundtables, when I prep beforehand, I like to watch a few different live versions, and I couldn't with this episode, but it's whatever. I think it's honestly it's a shame that Face Up was never played live, because I feel like this song would have had like just great potential for like good crowd participation. And I feel like I remember reading somewhere that Neil said that the song never really lived up to the potential that they had for it. And I don't disagree. It makes me a little sad that this song is a little more deeper cut and not one of the more popular, like commonly name checked ones when you think of Rush hits. I think this song is criminally underrated, and it should have been played live.
Yeah, I agree. I think even just right from the get-go, like I said with Neil's Crazy Fills in the beginning, I think that would get like a huge roar from the crowd.
Absolutely. And during the chorus too, with the backing vocals, where face up,
Yeah.
I feel like the crowd could be going face up right there. It would have made for a great show, but they never did it.
I think it suffers from, I'm going to try and be very careful with this, that thin music, like you said earlier, Tal, musically, there's a lot going on here. Evan, I couldn't agree more with that take. I think this could have been an opener if it was either a harder edge song. It's high energy, and they're not perfect. So like we can criticize and still love here, but I think this does suffer from that thin sound, because think about it for a second. If there was, example only, if the drums were mixed a little bit more dynamically, the lows are deeper, the cymbals are a little bit, you can hear the crash better. Alex's guitar, if there was a little bit more effect on it. When you listen, there's a lot going on in his playing, but it's a very clean, reserved sound. And what was it? The drums were recorded in 4 days, guitars in 8, and bass in 4, I think. Don't quote me, but I think I'm close on that. They were flying through it. I think if they would have processed it more, I think, like I said, this could have been another Force 10. I think so. Evan, I think you nailed it with the energy with this. I think it's there. As far as it falling, a little bit short of what they wanted for it, I think they may have been, and we could play what if all day. I think it could have been a contender if it had a little bit more meat on its bones, and that's my take.
Well, I have a short
song more than.
I'm sorry, go ahead. Well, say that again, Tal. I interrupted you.
I mean, I love Force 10. I'm a sucker for it, but it's not my favorite album. But I think this song could have even been more, even more fun live. Like Evan was saying, great chance for crowd participation, getting hyped, for that like little solo in there, and just like it never lets up. I agree. That's the problem when you have so many good songs. You're not going to play them all live, and there will always be those few that fall through the cracks and never get their chance to shine. But luckily, the song that
Hold on,
comes.
I have a real short
Oh.
story about this one. Before we get, I'll make it short.
Sorry.
So, Roll the Bones comes out in '91. I had seen Rush only once during the Hold Your Fire tour at the time. Yeah, I've been around the block. I'm not a spring chicken. So I bought Roll the Bones. Right, Paul. I bought Roll the Bones, and I heard Face Up, and I loved it. Great song. I thought, oh, I can't wait to see this live. So I mean, it's got to be one of the songs they picked. So when I actually went to see Rush for the second time, in my life, the Roll the Bones tour, and they didn't play Face Up. So I go back and I listen to it again on the record, and like, okay, I think I get why they didn't. Actually, I stopped really not liking. I didn't like the song that much anymore, because they pretty much ignored it. Kind of like I think I felt like they felt after they got um bombasted or whatever by after Caress of Steel. Like they loved it when they made it, but then they didn't get the accolades they were expecting for it, and they had a kind of a sour taste in their mouth for Caress of Steel. I kind of feel like that about Face Up. It had potential, and it now to me it sounds very poppy, like a not the typical Rush song. All of the stuff we talked about, now that we've talked about it, I appreciate it more. I didn't bother to appreciate. I'm probably on the wrong episode. I should have been on the, the other ones, the one where they hear the songs they don't like and 20 times, whatever. But
Yeah.
right. But yeah, I like it a little more, but it's not one of my favorite songs. And I tried to figure how it would be live. I think it wouldn't fit with a lot of the other Rush songs. I think it's really different, because it really does have a real a pop element to it, and it is short. Like there's nothing proggy about it. It's really a straight beat. It's kind of like the atypical Rush song to me.
Interesting. So you mostly came here for Where's My Thing then?
Actually, I figured it was gonna be with two songs. I gotta do my homework on Face Up, the whole story, but yeah, that's more for Where's My Thing.
Yeah, it may not be the most memorable song they've ever produced, in my opinion, but I think there's good things to say about literally all of them. And
Yeah, and I know why people like it. I know, I get it. It's not like, man, I don't. This song's terrible. No, I don't think that at all. It's just it's my sensibilities about some of these songs, and what I felt about it before, and then they never played it. And I think I know why there's so many other better songs, you know, that they chose to play.
fair, very fair. And they still, we can't, I wouldn't complain that like I don't think they underplayed this album. They may have picked only 5 songs, but they played all 5 of them on at least 2 tours, which
Yeah.
well, I would have been cool if they brought, if they like busted out one of the songs from the back half or something like You Bet Your Life or Neurotica, Heresy, but that's for another day. All right, let's talk about Where's My Thing. So this is track number 5 on the album. Very significant because this was the first instrumental the band has written and released in 10 years. Hand Over Fist on the previous album was very close to being instrumental, but then Neil did some genius lyric writing, and there you go. You got another song with lyrics. So there were they had some big shoes to fill because YYZ was so well received. It may not be as popular, but I think the song delivered. I love it. Whenever I put it on, I'm just having such a blast. It's a great song to listen to when driving, when biking, or when you're just out and about, or even at home doing your homework or whatever. I think it's so much fun. I absolutely love the synth use. I talk about it a lot. And they played this live twice on the Roll the Bones tour and on the Clockwork Angels tour. And I think there are interesting things to say about and notable things to say about both of them. But we could, I guess, start by just dissecting the song a little bit for the studio version. So I'm sorry, Paul, no lyrics for this one.
Well, you can talk about
But
part 4,
yes,
Gangster
you
of
have
Both trilogy.
you have something to say about that. You said you've done your research, so let's hear.
Well, basically Neil said this is going to be an instrumental. I'm not going to bring lyrics to this. So Alex and Getty jokingly said, okay, well, considering the bringing the funk involved, much like Roll the Bones, there's funky as what did Alex Kelly remind us of the other episode, as funky as Three White Canadians can be. This really obviously does deliver that musically. And so they said, we need a title or we're going to call it Gangster of Boats. So that over the top smart ass sarcasm that they have. So, and he wouldn't give up lyrics. So hence instrumental, which by the way, it also did, I think it was their second Grammy nomination, and they lost to Cliffs of Dover, and Eric Johnson opened for them on part of this tour. So I love that too. Thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, so that's the origin of the title as far as, and then the tongue in cheek part 4 of Gangster Boats trilogy, part 4 of a trilogy. Why not? If we're going to name it what we want to name it, we're going to make it part 4 of a trilogy. So again, their sense of humor. I love it. It's to never take themselves too seriously, no matter how much. And you've heard me talk about their lyrics ad nauseum as far as how serious they can be. But at the end of the day, they're having fun.
And me, after every record that came out after Moving Pictures, I'm like, okay, new record. Let's hear the instrumental. Nothing on Signals, nothing on Grace Under Pressure. And over and over and over. 10 years later, see, Where's My Thing? Like, no lyrics? I think I may have played that song first. Just to see what is this? And it's a killer track. I mean, I think it's underrated because the next album they had another instrumental. So they just played Leave My Thing Alone from Counterparts. They just played that and kind of forgot about Where's My Thing. I think Where's My Thing is better than Leave That Thing Alone. For reasons we may speak about. But yeah, it's a funky groove. The drumming is outstanding. And I got something to say about a couple of live versions too. But yeah, I love this instrumental. It's great.
Yes, me too. For me, Where's My Thing or Leave that thing Alone, it just depends on what I'm more in the mood for, or just what I am listening to more in the moment. Both have their I've liked both of them more than the other one. They're very different feels. I mean, it would be it sounds kind of cool to imagine what they would sound like if they were in their opposite mixes. Whereas My Thing had the Counterparts mix, and Leave That Thing Alone had the Roll the Bones mix.
Interesting.
Yeah, like you said, Omar, they once they released Leave That Thing Alone, they forgot about Where's My Thing for a while, and then they played Leave That Thing Alone on 3 tours, and 4 actually. Counterparts, Test for Echo, Vapor Trails, and Time Machine before they finally busted out Where's My Thing again on Clockwork Angels. So that's kind of crazy. Yeah, it's so cool. I don't know if we're gonna go section by section. I don't think so.
I don't think we have to. I mean, I have something that jumps out at me that I'd like to mention. I think I want to talk about the live versions right away. So the live version, not the Clockwork Angels tour. We're talking, I guess we can call them bootlegs. There's a bunch of versions on YouTube of the live versions, and I did a tribute video on my channel called Alex Lifeson of Rush. Is he really underrated? And I put links in my description of 2. There are several links there, but 2 performances of Where's My Thing during the World of Bones tour. And I got to tell you, right? I think Alex was at his fastest lead wise during that time. The lead guitar solo is extended live. It is outrageously fast. I've never heard anything like it. He sounds like these these shredders like that are really fast and they're going all over the place. When I saw it live, in 91, I was blown away. It's like, what is this? I mean, I liked the studio version, but it had its problems sound wise that we know about. But live, I was mesmerized. I mean, all of them, like they were playing with anger. I mean, Neil was hitting the drums so hard. It just didn't sound like the studio version. It was live during that tour. It was unbelievable. And all of the songs,
twice. I thought the same thing.
Yeah, and all of the songs that they picked to play on that tour, drastically different from the studio version, just because of
energy.
They sounded like Counterparts.
Energy, drive.
Yeah,
that very much. We said the same thing about Presto, where some of those songs live were, I won't say unrecognizable, but War Paint is still my favorite example.
That's a great example.
It's very clean sounding, not as clean as Roll the Bones as an album is, but it's a very straightforward and clean type, trying to avoid saying basic, but you know what I mean. And we already talked about that on that roundtable, and I'll leave it there. But when it was live, it was very large. It was very full. Same thing with this. It live, this just, the crowd felt it. And when you listen on the album, it might be like, wow, technically this is beautiful and it's brilliant. And I love synth. Tal, you and I've talked 1,000 times about this. And I know, Evan, it's come up in our conversations on here too, where we like this era and there are things about it. And I think almost the synth takes over the vocal role in this. But that being said, when it's live, it's bigger. There's more to it. It's more full. It's larger. So,
and the drumming too.
Well, I was there, so I agree.
Yep, drumming too. Tal, you may appreciate it. I mean, the live. I mean, I like the Clockwork Angels version. I like it because it's kind of like, it's nostalgia at that point. Because, oh wow, they brought it back. It's great. And Neil Peart does his great drum solo in the middle of it.
There it is.
Yeah, but you know, I think the way they played it in 91, 92, that tour, I mean, that's some of the best stuff I've ever heard them play.
Yeah, I agree. If I had to pick I've studied both tours versions pretty closely musically and then tone-wise and things like that. And I would say I much prefer the Roll the Bones tour version, regardless of how great the Clockwork version is, for a few reasons. First of all, on the Roll the Bones tour, it was fresh. The band, I feel like, knew exactly how the studio version sounded. They played all the same instruments they did in the studio. You know, Geddy's Red Wall, the MK2, Neil's Ludwig's. So even though it sounded bigger, it also still had that album tone, which I like, just maybe with that extra reverb from the arena and just a little bit more punch, which I love. But then on Clockwork, I feel like just the timbre of everything just sounded a little bit too different. Geddy has his jazz bass now, his dirty jazz bass. Alex was playing a Les Paul, Neil was playing his DWs. Like they were playing the song, but I don't think it hit quite the same without the studio instrument lineup, me personally. Also, I find that when they brought back a song they haven't played in a while, it's either they maybe forgot little nuances when they learned it or chose to change a few little things. Neil changed the ride cymbal pattern in like the second part, da 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 ba 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 ba, where in the original he was doing a variation of his signature parallel group. But then on the Clockwork tour, he was doing straight eighths on the ride, and then a couple of just and it changed the feel a little bit. As a drummer, I noticed it, and it just doesn't quite sound the same. Alex also changed a couple of notes in those first opening chords drums. Alex Kelly can probably tell you what those chords are, but as someone who
I don't know the names of the chords, but I know what you're talking about.
Someone who's listening, he did change. He goes from, on Clockwork, it's D C C C D D D, and on Roll the Bones, those notes were not in there. So it's just little things like that. But I guess you can say the drum solo in the middle sort of makes up for it. But then you could say on the Roll the Bones tour, he played a killer drum solo after the song. So I don't know. Also,
Sorry. I'm sorry. So that was the first tour where Neil dropped to the two bass drums, and he had the single bass drum with the double pedal. That was the first time he did that, and that his drum solo changed when he did that, because now he had room over here to put another floor tom. So he's doing these patterns going doom 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 like that, and he hadn't done that before. And when I heard that, I never, he tends to use the same stuff in different tours, but he just changes it around, adds a few things. But this was completely unique and completely different. So that was, I think, added to Where's My Thing. It was the instrumental and then the solo. It's like, wow, the drum solo is, I would say, radically different from the previous tour, because the kit was different. It was totally different.
It was also his first extended solo over 7 minutes. This was his first time he did that. So definitely was a crowd pleaser. And Geddy would usually say, Mr. Neil Peart, the rhythm method, and then like because it was one of the first, I think it was the first time that his solo wasn't really thought of as an interlude between like a song or like that sort of segues to. It's like this is the Neil show. Like we're leaving the stage for a while, we're letting him do his thing for a long time. Like we're off. Like and
in the middle of the song where they're jamming the three of them, the jazzy part, yeah, synth part that you like, Tal. So the three of them just go at it. They're soloing, the three of them. I'm talking about, Alex is doing his lead, but Geddy's still doing his jazzy part on the bass, and Neil is doing his thing on the drums. It's like a jazz, I don't know what you call it, a jazz interlude or something like that. But again, fantastic. It was like something I had not heard them do before, and again live, even in Clockwork Angels live, that was pretty outstanding. that part there that they did is pretty jazzy. But yeah, it's one of my favorite instrumentals.
Yeah, one of mine too. It's so much fun. I also love the key change at the end. I love Rush songs with key changes. Marathon is my favorite.
That's a good one.
As a key change. And this one does too, going from E to F sharp. And there's just I'm just visualizing on the Roll the Bones tour when the lights go off, except for a few colored ones on Neil's kit. He does his and the lights come back on. Geddy's jumping around and they just rip it out. And it's awesome. On the Clockwork Angels tour, they actually omitted those synth chimes in the key change. They instead just decided to rip it out on their guitar and bass. I think if I had to guess, that's probably so they don't have to feel locked in with in the tempo. They can go a little bit faster. They can just end it off a little more freely, because on the first few shows of Clockwork Angels tour, they did have that Geddy did trigger the those background synths, da 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 da, but then they dropped it after like 5 shows or so. And then I noticed that I think when they were doing it, they had a little bit of syncing issues, just like feeling like Neil has to slow down a little bit. I think he felt like he wants to go a little faster, so like, okay, we'll drop it. And I get it, but I don't think it hits as hard. Guitar driven like that personally. I like those synths. So another reason why I prefer the inaugural Roll the Bones tour live version. But just the song is the song, right? So either way, even if I was there in 2012 or 2013, I just would have been ecstatic to hear it. But just little, as a live junkie, little tiny complaints I may make sometimes.
I hear you, dog. I hear you.
It's what we do here.
Dissect and analyze.
All right, so that pretty much brings us to the conclusion. So before we wrap up, any final things you would like to say about either of these songs, Face Up or Where's My Thing?
Just do it.
Yeah.
Be daring. Fortune favors the bold.
I like Face Up a little more. And I also did a video ranking all of the instrumentals of Rush. I'm not gonna say Where's My Thing falls, but it's not last.
I don't even know.
Put it that way.
Check it out. When did you upload that?
It's been up there for a while. You can just look up Rush instrumental ranking, something like that. You'll find it.
Gotta check that one out. And anyone watching, make sure to check that out. And all right, so I guess that brings us to the conclusion. So thank you everybody for watching. Let us know what you think of these two songs, Face Up and Where's My Thing, Part 4, Gangster of Boats trilogy. If you'd like to join us and chat about any Rush song past this point, make sure to email us on the address hopefully seen on the screen right about now. And yeah, just let us know what you think. Let us know what you'd like to see in the future. We take ideas. We do roundtables about lots of topics. So do that. We love hearing what you have to say. And thanks for watching. See you around.